Mick Corrigan here from Action Coach, and today I'm delighted to introduce you to Phil Simpson. Phil is the Managing Director of Lancaster Brewery. Welcome to Business Spotlight, Phil.
Hi, hello.
So tell us a bit about Lancaster Brewery. Phil, looking forward to hearing about it.
Well, we kicked off in 2001. We bought a pub in Lancaster called the Waterwitch in 2002. We now have a number of pubs and hotels, a couple of restaurants in the hotels. We've got the Titan Lock at the railway station at Lancaster. We've got Lancaster Brewery, which is, I think, the fifth or sixth biggest brewery in the Northwest at the moment. And over the last couple of years, we've opened up a distillery. And last year, we opened up a whiskey distillery. So there's been a lot of growth last few years. So we do everything from beer to gin to whiskey to hotel beds and nice restaurant meals and a good pint of beer, the whole lot.
So customers are everyone.
Everybody, everybody who's over 18 is a customer of ours now.
And who are your main customers? Who would you describe as your trade customers, I guess?
It sounds pretentious, but I would say it's quite discerning customers, our business. We have never been one for sort of selling cheap generic lagers and alcopops and what have you. That's never been our business model. We have nice pubs, nice hotels. We do nice food, nice restaurants. We still do cook to order food. We're not doing the microwave stuff. So it's the people that have got to focus on quality. That's really our customer base, and we haven't really struggled in the last few years despite all the headwinds. Our turnover now is 8 million, which is the highest it's ever been, and we've recovered our profit to where it was pre-COVID. So we're in a good place at the moment.
Brilliant. So for people that are watching this and listening to this, what might they look out for in the marketplace? What brands and where might they see your products?
Well, you'll see our cask ale all over the country. Lancaster Blonde is our biggest seller. Lancaster Red, Lancaster Black, Lancaster Amber. They're the four mainstays, and we sell that all over the place. It's easily available in the Northwest, and it's readily available across the country. In bottle form, it turns up at Sainsbury's and Tesco's and Waitrose and Asda and various other supermarkets. And then our spirits are just starting out, really. So we've got a gin called Firecracker, which is really full-powered, full-bodied gin. Bit more than normal gin. It's not a Gordon's. And then we're starting to produce whiskey now, and the whiskey is fantastic. And we built a big room for it, a big warehouse, big maturation room. So we've got all the casks all lined up and a big whiskey distillery there, and that's going to be something in about 2.5 years when that's legally a whiskey. It has to be 3 years old. So no, you can find us everywhere.
You know what, Phil? As you're talking about that, I've got a mental picture of tastings going on over up in Lancaster. I bet you have some fun, don't you?
We're doing a lot of tastings already because I didn't realize how quickly whiskey goes from being a white clear spirit, which is what new make spirits is. All whiskey starts off as a clear white spirit, to a dark brown, delightful, complicated cask whiskey. It only takes a few months, so we're already introducing people to new make spirit that's 6 months in the cask, and the difference between a brand new spirit to a cask spirit, even after 6-7 months, is absolutely amazing.
Is it the barrel that gives it the color, or is it the
barrel gives it the color, and it gives it a lot of nuance as well? So a lot of the toasty characteristics, a lot of the clever background flavor is there. But the new make spirit, which we make from scratch from our own beer, that's half the flavor. So you've got a lot of the sort of caramel and chocolate and coffee and all kinds of flavors within the original spirit, which is enhanced by the wood.
So doing the gin and whiskey differentiates you from other breweries, I guess, although some will be doing that as well. But what would you say stands out for you as in terms of what makes you different to other breweries that are up and down the land?
The biggest difference, I think, is that we really do everything at the highest quality level possible. And what I mean by that is, so for instance, 90%, I think 96% of micro gins in the UK are bought in ethanol and then they infuse it with botanicals. We're making our own ethanol. So that's very, very unusual in the world of gin and vodka. People don't make their own ethanol, but it's very complicated. We spent 2.5 years working out how to take a beer and make it into a spirit for gin and vodka. So that's very unusual. Our beers, I mean, we have our own well here. We draw it from an aquifer. We have our own yeast, which is 200 years old. Again, we do everything in a very traditional, very old-fashioned, almost 19th century style. We don't
proper craft.
Yeah, and that ethos goes right through into the bars and the hotels and the restaurants. We just don't cut corners. And everyone says that. I know everyone does say that, but we do things that are, I say, very, very unusual. And we're following that with the whiskey as well. A normal whiskey distillery will ferment their spirits, their whiskey wash, the beer that they make the whiskey out of. They'll ferment it for 72 hours. We spend 144 hours fermenting our whiskey, our wash. So it's a very, very slow fermentation period, which again gives it better flavor, gives it more nuances, more aromas. So we do everything in a very kind of puritanical way, and it's something that we've done from day one at the Water Witch, and we've continued right through to today.
Puritanical, I love that word. Don't hear that very often.
That's what we are. Yeah.
So what does the future look like, Phil? Obviously, you got to a great level with your turnover at 8 million, and you're making as much profit as you were doing before COVID. What does the future look like?
My personality is that I'm never really satisfied, and also I take no joy in the past. I only really focus on the future. It's a very strange personality quirk. So I'm really only focused on the future, and the future is, I would hope, we'll get more railway station bars. I absolutely love railway station bars. They are a delight. The one we've got in Lancaster has been just a delight.
What is it about railway station bars? What is
the clientele you get? It's very, very different to a normal pub. You get everybody and anybody going in there. So in a normal pub, within 6 months, you've got a certain type of person that's going in there. For whatever reason, you get a certain type. In a railway pub, you get everybody and anybody, all age groups, all types, and they all come into one space, and I find it really invigorating. So we're looking at another railway station bar, which hopefully we'll have news on the next few weeks, which will be amazing. So that's one big thing that we're looking at now. And then the whole distillery thing is another area that we're just scratching the surface of. So there's a huge element of investment on that we're still, and we've got other plans with the whiskey and the spirits. And then on the beer side of things, we've just opened a completely new brewery. So we've got the big brewery and we've got a tiny brewery now, and we're going to do lots of weird and wonderful beers. We're currently making a rye beer from rye, which is unusual. We're doing sour beers. We're doing wheat beers. So all these unusual beers that we couldn't do in the big kits, it's just too enormous and too unwieldy, we're now doing on this tiny kit. So I think the combination of some new venues in railway stations and the spirits and the beer work, that's going to keep me busy for at least 2 years, I think.
Exciting. What challenges might all that bring?
The challenges at the moment really are external. The budget was very tricky for us and tricky for everybody, I think. My sector is very unhappy with that particular budget. I mean, we've had a bad run of things. We had austerity, which slowed things down, and then we had Brexit, which slowed things down, and then we had COVID, which stopped everything. And then we had the Ukraine situation, which made our energy prices go through the roof. And we've never really had a break. So it's just been every couple of years, another one. And then the latest one was the budget, which for our companies added nearly £250,000 of extra costs that we hadn't planned. So that's been so every few years we've had another hurdle. That one particularly was a self-induced one. So as long as we don't get any more of these, any more surprises, government created surprises, then I'm quietly confident that we'll just go on and just develop and expand and continue until I retire or drop dead.
Good. Well, I suppose those external challenges are great. There's not a great deal you can do about them anyway, is there really?
No.
You just got to absorb them.
My local MP, but other than that, not much else I can do.
Yeah. And so you've been in the brewery, what, 20 odd years now, 22 years, is it? Something like that.
Well, the brewery is a little bit younger than the company, the holding company. So I think the brewery, I lose track of dates. As I said before, I don't think much about the past. I always look at the future.
Yeah.
I think the brewery is going to be 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. The pubs are the oldest part of the business. We've had them for 20 years or so, and we keep adding new ones. The brewery is a bit younger, and the distillery is the child in the family.
So if I can ask you to look back a little bit here now, I know you don't like
That's
that.
right.
But this is for the benefit of the people that are watching this.
Yeah.
What would you say have been the key learnings for you along the way?
I don't think I've changed much in 20 odd years. I think I'm a slightly more patient now than I was when I was a bit younger. I suppose critical parts of it are always have a plan B, always have a route out, try and avoid signing leases on company premises that are 10 years old, 20 years. Always have a break clause if you possibly can. Things will go wrong. Things always go wrong, and just have a plan, an exit route for that. 10, 15 years ago, it was very difficult. We were short of cash, and we were trying to expand. And it was extremely tough. And we were lucky because the banks were happy to give money at that time. Those days have gone. Banks are far more risk averse than they were 10, 15 years ago. So just, do things that I didn't do. Be patient. Try and not to grow too quickly. Try and never push your cash too hard. We pushed our cash flow so hard for so many years, and that meant hundreds of sleepless nights for me. Endless worries, endless precipices that we had to get over, and it, that's a patient thing. I should have probably been a bit more patient. I shouldn't have done. There was a period where we were growing so fast. We were doubling in size every year for maybe 5, 6, 7 years in a row, and whilst that's great on paper, the bottom line took a real pounding, and our cash generation was really difficult. So I would just say, try and be patient if you can. Always look at your cash and have a real grasp of your cash, especially in this sector. And keep a close eye on what's going on in the business world, because things change, and normally you get wind of them before they happen. So the only good thing about the budget was it's given us 6 months notice, so we can start to put in place mitigation to cover the costs that we're going to have from that budget. And if you're going to be successful in business, you've really got to have a real close eye on what's happening outside your own little business world.
That's interesting. That's great advice, because things are not usually a surprise when you look back in retrospect.
That's right. Even COVID.
Yeah, you're right.
I remember tracking that in January. It might have even been earlier than that. I remember reading about it and being worried, and I remember having a staff meeting just before COVID. Well, a few weeks before the COVID thing happened, and we'd already put in place some kind of plan. All these things, just take an interest in the world, and generally, you're absolutely right. You can spot these things coming, apart from when budget comes along. But even that, we've been given 6 months.
Yeah. Talking of COVID, there was a film made about it well before it actually happened.
Oh, absolutely. What was it called? What was it called? I remember watching it, and it was
Carbon Copy.
It was exactly what happened. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Phil, brilliant advice. Thank you very much, and you've told us a little bit about what you do differently there as well, which is fantastic. I wish you well for the future. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Cheers, mate.